Picture this. A quiet woman in a simple dress steps onto a TV stage in 2009 and the whole world holds its breath. That night, Susan Boyle sang I Dreamed a Dream on Britain's Got Talent, and about 10 million people were watching live in the UK. I still remember the jolt. You could feel the room flip from doubt to awe. Within weeks, her clip was everywhere, and within months, her debut album was selling by the millions. I've spent days in old UK papers and People magazine archives revisiting that shockwave, and the numbers still stun me. But here's the turn. Today, Susan is 64. She's fighting to reclaim her voice and her place after a stroke that shook her life, her health, and her identity. This isn't just a comeback story. It's a human story, and honestly, it hits hard. Have you ever been surprised by someone's hidden talent? Comment below. I'm Sarah Reed, and this is the kind of history I live for, because the past isn't dusty, it's alive. We're going to trace Susan's rise, the records, the grief, the resilience, and that stroke in 2022. The heartbreak is real. The hope is too. But before the fall, there was the miracle. Let's rewind to that audition. Here's my take. The reason Susan's audition still makes us cry isn't only her voice, it's the reveal. Susan Boyle, born April 1, 1961 in West Lothian, Scotland, had spent years singing in church, taking lessons, even trying shows like My Kind of People in the 90s with no luck. Then came April 11, 2009. She walked on stage, joked with the judges, and the crowd smirked. And then those first lines of I Dreamed a Dream hit. Silence. Then cheers. Judge Amanda Holden later called it the biggest wake-up call ever. Cameron McIntosh, the Les Mis impresario, praised her as heart-touching, thrilling, and uplifting. Watching again for this piece, I still get chills. The clip went viral in days. Her face, her voice, that swell of strings, instant legend. I felt it in my gut the way I did in a math class years ago when everyone assumed I'd fail and I crushed it. That look when doubt melts? Unmatched. Susan didn't look like a pop star. She didn't need to. She had the thing that matters, truth. And truth carries. The stage changed her life overnight. The next morning, the world wanted more, and it was coming. My favorite part of studying this era is the speed. One moment she's unknown, the next she's breaking records. Susan's debut album, I Dreamed a Dream, dropped in November 2009 and smashed UK history for a debut's first week sales, moving roughly 411,000 copies there alone. In the US and beyond, the surge kept rolling. By 2013, she'd sold over 19 million albums worldwide. By 2021, the figure sat around 25 million. Then came The Gift in 2010, topping charts again. That made her one of only a tiny handful to score UK and US number ones in the same year, twice. Prestige followed, 2 Grammy nominations, performances for Queen Elizabeth II, President Barack Obama, and Pope Benedict XVI. I combed Billboard and official charts files for this video, and the pattern is clear. Few reality show moments ever turned into a career this big. But what I love most, while the money piled up, Irish Mirror puts career earnings near £22 million, she stayed in her modest Scottish town. No flashy mansion, no parade of sports cars, just Susan. And here's the twist that sets up everything to come. Fame didn't shield her from life. It amplified her humanity. That glow had shadows. Let me pull back the curtain. Susan's rise looked easy, but her inner world was more complex. She grew up feeling different, got bullied, and for years believed she had brain damage from birth. In 2013, specialists finally gave her the right answer: Asperger's, a form of autism with an above-average IQ. She told The Observer, "It was the wrong diagnosis. It's a relief. And Asperger's doesn't define me." That honesty made me admire her more. She liked routine, she needed trust, and she carried grief. Her mother died the day before that 2009 audition aired, and Susan always spoke about wanting to make her proud. The pressure after the BGT finale was brutal. She was absolutely exhausted and was treated briefly at the Priory Clinic. Even the British Prime Minister at the time, Gordon Brown, sent well wishes. When I dug through those interviews, I heard the same note. She was strong, but human, not a cartoon. a person. These private battles didn't stop her, they shaped her. They also laid a foundation, discipline, humility, grit that would be crucial later, because another trial waited down the road, and this one would go straight for her voice. I'll say it, the modest life wasn't a gimmick, it was Susan. While headlines bragged about millions, she kept living in her childhood home in Blackburn, West Lothian. She renovated it with love and even set up her niece in a nearby posh house. She gave herself a simple allowance, about a few £100 a week, tea in a familiar kitchen, sensible shoes, a walk to town. She said staying close to her roots kept her grounded, and looking at the old local features, I believe her. But normal life brings normal challenges. In 2016, Susan revealed she had type 2 diabetes. She cut sweets, lost weight, and managed it with care. I had to stop eating sweeties and cakes, she joked, but behind the joke was discipline. Still, I see a pattern when I track her story. She had fame, she had money, yet her health kept her honest. No stage can protect you from that. And even with good habits, a far bigger shock was coming. Midway reminder, if these deep dives speak to you, please subscribe to Golden American Legends so you don't miss our next classic story. Now back to Susan. The most painful chapter was about to begin. This part hurts to tell. In April 2022, Susan Boyle suffered a stroke. A stroke is when blood flow to part of the brain is blocked or reduced. The Mayo Clinic lists symptoms like trouble speaking and body weakness. For a singer, that is a nightmare. Susan later shared that the stroke left her with weakness on one side and hit her speech and singing. The Independent called it a major stroke. On TV later, she used the phrase minor stroke, which tells me she wanted to comfort fans. Either way, it was serious. Doctors warned she might never sing or record again. I sat with that quote for a while. Imagine the thing that defines you, the gift that carried you across the world, suddenly slipping from your grasp. When Susan finally spoke about it in mid-2023, she was blunt. She was doubtful she could perform again. And honestly, so were many of us who love her. But doubt and doom are not the same thing. This is where Susan's stubborn hope went to work. The question changed from will she to how hard will she fight? Answer, very hard. I love a training montage, and Susan lived one in real life. After the stroke, she went into rehab mode, speech therapy, vocal coaching, day after day. She wrote on social media that for the past year, she worked so hard to get her speech and singing back with the sole aim of being able to sing on stage again. And she added, I fought like crazy to get back on stage. That grit carried her through quiet months out of sight. No splashy posts, no big teasers, just work. Then came a sign. In December 2024, she shared a studio photo, her first time back in a recording booth in 6 years. Today was wonderful, she wrote, something I was told I might never achieve again, in my happy place. When I saw that, I smiled. It felt like a scene from a classic biopic, The Artist Who Won't Quit. Simon Cowell once told her, if anyone was going to come back, you were going to come back. He knew her core, so did we. And the first public proof of that comeback, it came on the very stage that started it all. Sometimes the circle really does close. On June 4th, 2023, at the Britain's Got Talent finale, the curtain rose and there she was, Susan Boyle, standing with the West End cast of Les Miserables. The crowd erupted. She sang I Dreamed a Dream again, the song that changed her life in 2009. When the music faded, she told the hosts, last April, I suffered a minor stroke. I fought like crazy to get back on stage, and I have done it. The judges rose in a standing ovation. Simon Cowell said, we owe you so much. You are amazing. Watching fan clips and broadcast transcripts, I could feel the room lift. Social feeds lit up with love. Huge respect for Susan Boyle, post-stroke and smashing it. That night wasn't just a performance. It was proof of life, proof of spirit, proof that the voice, even changed, still carried truth. It didn't answer every question about her future. It didn't need to. It told us one thing loud and clear. She was still here, still singing, still Susan. The next chapter would explain what back really meant. Here's where we are now. Susan turned 64 in April 2025. She still lives modestly in West Lothian. Health-wise, she's careful and steady, managing diabetes, working through long-term stroke recovery, and making smart choices about work. but she isn't done. On Scottish TV in late 2024, she said it straight. "I had a major stroke. It's been hard, but it's given me a hunger to keep going." She joked, "You can't keep an old woman down." She's lining up new projects, a cameo in a Rupert Everett film with a song, and an upcoming documentary drama centered on her life. She hopes to tour again. And that studio selfie in December 2024? It signals new recordings, her first since the 2019 album 10. From a medical view, stroke recovery can keep unfolding over years. Voices can return in stages, sometimes not 100%. That's okay. The goal now isn't perfection, it's presence, it's meaning. When I map her timeline, I see a spark that refuses to die. We may not get 2009 power. We may get 2025 wisdom. And honestly, I'll take that. Let's clear the fog, because I see a lot of mixed headlines out there. Myth 1. Susan Boyle won Britain's Got Talent. Truth, she finished second in 2009 to the dance group Diversity, and still, she became the show's most famous alum. Myth 2. She only had one big song. Truth, she released 8 albums, toured the world, and sold roughly 25 million records by 2021. Myth 3. She's retired or worse. Truth, as of now, she's alive, working, and even returned to the recording studio in December 2024. Myth 4. She has brain damage. Truth, specialists diagnosed Asperger's syndrome in 2013 and found her IQ above average. Her words, "It was the wrong diagnosis. It's a relief." Why do these myths stick? Because simple stories travel faster than complex lives. I went back through British media archives and recent interviews to double-check all of this. The record is clear. Susan's journey is bigger than a viral clip and richer than a rumor. Knowing the truth matters, especially now when her health story needs care, not noise. With the myths out of the way, let's talk legacy and the future. Here's my read as a pop culture historian who loves old Hollywood arcs. Susan's legacy has 2 verses. Verse 1 is the fairy tale. A middle-aged church volunteer shocks the world and sells one of the best-selling albums of the 21st century. Verse 2 is the comeback. A stroke nearly silences her, and she fights to sing again. Together, they form something stronger than either alone. She changed TV talent history. More than a decade later, critics still point to that 2009 audition as the moment Britain's Got Talent became a global event. And even if her voice has shifted with age and recovery, the core of Susan, the truth teller, remains. I think of stars like Judy Garland, who weathered storms and still held a crowd in the palm of their hand. That's the tradition Susan now stands in. Medical experts say voice recovery after a stroke can take years and isn't always complete, so maybe the notes will land different. The meaning won't. Simon Cowell told her, "We owe you so much." He's right. She gave millions a reason to believe, and that is a legacy that sings on, no matter the key. I keep replaying that first look on her face in 2009, the moment doubt broke and wonder rushed in. Susan Boyle taught us not to judge by the cover. Now, at 64, she's teaching us how to hold on when life turns cruel. Her I Dreamed a Dream album still sits among the top sellers of this century, but numbers are not her final word. Courage is. She even laughed through recovery. You can't keep an old woman down. Same Susan, new battle. If you enjoyed this kind of deep dive, please subscribe to Golden American Legends and share this with someone who remembers that night in 2009. Thanks for watching. Here's my last question to you. How do we honor Susan Boyle's legacy? As a golden voice that thrilled the world, or as an ordinary woman who never stopped chasing her dream?